We're approaching the end of 2025 going into 2026, and that means there's a lot of holiday sales coming up as well as Black Friday, and some of you guys may be wondering, what GPU should I buy?
And today we're going to tell you that, focusing on new graphics cards from budget up to mid-range to high-end to give you our recommendations of GPUs we've tested so you guys can spend your money correctly, but we're going to talk about that after a word from today's sponsor.
Big shout out to today's video sponsor Pair Eyewear for sending me over a brand new pair of glasses. Pair Eyewear not only makes stylish glasses, but they also make prescription glasses, blue light glasses, and sunglasses. One of my favorite features with Pair's glasses are these magnetic frames that come in so many different styles and shapes, and there's over 400 to choose from. And what's awesome is that Pair has a prescription for everyone out there. Whether you're below -3 or above 6.0, they will get you taken care of. But hey, I get it, not everybody needs prescription glasses like me, so what's awesome about Pair is you can buy normal glasses that are blue light filtering and even self-tinting. And there's over 18 base glasses to choose from, and even children are covered too. And I know new glasses can be a commitment, but that's the best part, is that their glasses start pretty cheap at $60, the frames start at $25, and on top of that, they have a 30-day money-back guarantee. But if you want to be extra safe, they even have a virtual try-on, so you can post a picture of yourself and see what you'll look like in them. And Pair Eyewear is always innovating and doing really cool collabs, so expect new revisions 3 times or more a month. Now, I definitely know where I'm getting all of my glasses in the future, so make sure you guys check out Pair Eyewear today, and you can save 15% by using our link down below on your first purchase. So thanks again to Pair Eyewear for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back into it. So we're going to just be focusing on new current gen GPUs because of the sole fact that honestly, the used market is typically not great this time of year. People are selling their 40 series cards, for example, for more than some of the new 50 series cards, and that goes the same for AMD and even some of the Intel cards. So we're really just going to be focusing on the new cards and where you can get them.
And we're going to start with budget and work our way up. We're not going to go super high end, and we'll talk about that at the end of the video, because normally once you get past a certain point, we don't really recommend people spend money anyways on these top of the line GPUs that everyone pushes, because we think the price performance is very low, but we'll get to that a bit later. Let's go ahead and start with the first GPU that's definitely going to ruffle some feathers, and that is the RTX 3056 gig. Now, calm down, don't attack us just yet. We always include this in the video because it is an awesome budget GPU at around $155 to $200. Well, maybe awesome isn't the right word. It is the best, cheapest Nvidia GPU you can get right now. It comes with 6 gigs of VRAM, which can be a little lacking in newer titles, but when you're talking about an all-new GPU, which is great for plopping into an office PC or a really budget all-new parts gaming PC, this is really your best option. AMD really doesn't have anything at that price point on the new market that you can even compete with, and the card is great for upgrading those office PCs because it does not require any external power. Now, is it the best bang for buck card of all time? Not necessarily, but if you're looking for a new GPU that is Nvidia, that has no external power requirements and can be used to upgrade office PCs, it is the best option for that, and that's why it's always going to be included on our list while it's available, especially at $155 for that Paladin model that you can buy on Newegg, which all the links for all the cards in this video, link description down below are fillings, they will help us out, which at that $155 price point is a really good deal. So 3056 gig is the first on the list.
Now next up is a card that I think is kind of slept on, the 9060 XT 8 gig version. So everybody knows about the 16 gig version because, you know, it's around like $360-ish, give or take, and it's a good card. I mean, you can get like 1440p and 16 gigs of VRAM on what's considered a budget card nowadays is pretty sick, but the 8 gig version is $269 starting, and I expect it to maybe drop even lower, and it's almost like our new RX 580 of the day. It's just such a good card for 1080p, and you can even do 1440p with it. Don't be fooled by the 8 gigs of VRAM. It doesn't make it to where you just can't use the card. There just may be some newer games, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, whatever it's called, that may want some more VRAM and they might stutter once you go to like higher settings, but really every game out there will run on this card, guaranteed 1080p like medium settings. And then the other side note to the fact that this card has a pretty low TDP, so it only needs one 8-pin. It also has really good ray tracing performance. It's actually on par with all the new Nvidia cards, and the encoding that's actually built into it is just as good as the NVENC encoder now, so you can use that card for live streaming as well. So once again, don't be fooled by the 8 gigs of VRAM. Now for CPU pairing, I will say this is a Gen 5x16 card, just like new 50 series, so it is not recommended to pair with really old hardware, but I'd say like, you know, 5000 series and up from AMD on the AM4 platform is going to be great. So like I'd go as low as a 5500 and as high as like a, you know, 5800X3D, or on, you know, 9000 series, I'd say as high as like a 9700X. And then for Intel, you know, honestly just 10th gen and up. You're obviously not going to get the full bandwidth, but you're still going to get really good performance for the price on this card.
Now next up is a card that honestly has changed in our minds as the best bang for buck GPU in 2025 because it's getting a little bit older, and that's the Intel Arc B580. Now this GPU is really awesome, and Intel's made a lot of strides in making it a really good card. The 12 gigs of VRAM is really what stands out, and for those looking to play games at 1440p, it's a good option to go with the card with 12 gigs to ensure that all those games will at least run on the graphics card and not get limited by 8 gigs like some of the cards in this video. Now it comes in at around $249 now, which is very consistently priced, which was the launch price, so it's good to see it's actually back to the launch price because it was not there for a very long time. But it is important to mention, and we even benchmarked this in another video where we tested against the RTX 5050 in terms of raw GPU horsepower at 1080p. This card is slightly slower than an RTX 5050. Now that VRAM does help it going into 1440p, but a lot of games nowadays, really high-end AAA titles, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this GPU for 1440p gaming unless you're okay with some upscaling and getting around 60 to 70 FPS on average. But for those looking for a card at $250, who really doesn't want to give in to AMD and Nvidia only giving you 8 gigs of VRAM and feels like you need 12 gigs of VRAM, the B580 is still a really good option. Now there was a whole thing about GPU overhead issues that Intel has made really good efforts to fix, so you can go budget if you want to on the CPU, but I would recommend something with at least Gen 4 support. So look at something like, if you want to go really cheap, a Ryzen 5 3600 used if you want to go in the used market, or a safe bet is like a Ryzen 5 5600 if you want to go new. 7000 series Ryzen would be the best bang for buck, like a 7500F would be really good price performance, or if you want to go Intel, something like a 12600KF on a really good deal would be an awesome option as well. But there's really a ton of ways you can go with the B580. I just wouldn't go super high end on it. I would go with something like an i5 or Ryzen 5 to get the best bang for buck. Really, that's for any GPU to be honest, but Ryzen 5, i5, great recommendation for this GPU.
Now next up is a card that not a lot of people love. It's the RTX 5060 8 gig, which comes in right at like $300, and I expect it to probably drop like the 9060 XT 8 gig. And a lot of people don't like it because it's 8 gigs of VRAM, and Nvidia's done 8 gigs of VRAM for their entry-level card for the last like 3 launches, but it is a good Gen 5x16 card, and if you pair it with the right specs, like newer stuff, it runs really well. It's got really good ray tracing. It has really good upscaling, which that can also be said for the 9060 XT as well. They're just amazing if you're willing to use a little bit of DLSS or FSR. I know some of you guys think that those are like the fake frames, but you're thinking of frame gen. If you just run upscaling, that's exactly what your console at home is doing, so you shouldn't be afraid to use a little upscaling. And much like the 9060 XT 8 gig, it doesn't use much power. Single 8 pin, very low wattage, and on top of that, it is really good to pair with many different CPUs. You know, the Ryzen 5s and the i5s, which like Matt was saying, that's really a good general rule of thumb. As long as you're like 3000 series or newer, it's gonna be a good pairing. If you put like a Ryzen 7 or like a Ryzen 9 or, you know, the counterparts of like Ultra, you're kind of going overkill in the CPU, and you're not gonna see any more performance coming out of that 5060 because honestly, games don't really care for that many cores and threads.
Now honestly, the GOAT to price performance right now is the 9060 XT 16 gig coming in at $359. Now we're getting to that price point, we are spending a bit of money on your graphics card, but we think with the 9060 XT 16 gig, you will buy this graphics card and you won't really even worry about any sort of VRAM arguments or feeling like you're lacking your performance because you're going to get your money's worth when you buy this GPU. It is a good graphics card in terms of 1440p gaming because you have the 16 gigs of VRAM. Pair that with some FSR and some frame gen and some newer titles and you'll have some really high FPS numbers if you're okay with doing that. FSR at the bare minimum is very recommended for 1440p with this GPU. And if you pair it with a CPU, like once again, I feel like I'm a broken record, a 7500F, 7600, 9600X, or if you go Intel, the 12600K, 13600K, or even that Core Ultra 5 if you want to. Don't really recommend that as much, but it is an option. If you pair that with a good Ryzen 5 based CPU, build a PC for around $1,000, you'll have no problems playing any game you want at 1440p, making this one of the best GPUs you can get new right now. If you don't want to think about anything, just go down below, buy that. If you have the budget, you're gonna be very happy with that graphics card.
Now, one of my favorite cards in the last few lineups is going to be the RTX 5070. I always like the 70 cards because they're kind of like in the middle of price to performance. You're not nearing that $1,000 price point, which honestly, I don't like cards that get near that because typically you're losing a lot of FPS per dollar. Like I have a 5080 at home and I paid $1,400 for that when I could have gotten a 5070 for let's say $599 or $550. I would have gotten pretty close to the same performance with my 9800X3D. So these cards only have 12 gigs of RAM. That's the biggest argument of why people think they're bad, because they're like, well, the B580 only has 12 gigs. The 5070 in terms of like its raw horsepower is way better than something like a B580 or even like the 9060 XT with 16 gigs. So we've even compared that in videos before, you know, comparing the 16 gig cards that are, what was it, the 5060 Ti, and the 5070 still won in pretty much everything we threw at it with flying colors. So yeah, great card. It does use the new ATX 3.1 or 3.0 connector, which is basically like a 450 to 650 watt connector. And I honestly love the connector. It's a single, really small connector. It's smaller than a single 8-pin. It can handle a ton of power, and it is universal. That's a cool part. So any power supply, in theory, can take one of those cables, and you can even get sleeve cables, look really cool for them. And of course it has all of the cool Nvidia features like DLSS and frame gen and all that good stuff. And this card pairs a little bit better with, well, the Ryzen 5s and Ryzen 7. So this time you can kind of bump up to the 7 series, and we do recommend it. So this is the card where if you want to get yourself the baller CPU, the 7800X3D, or even the 9800X3D if you're really into like spending money and getting a lot of performance, this is actually the GPU that I would do it with, is this and above.
And speaking of above, we'll include some honorable mentions for some higher end GPUs that honestly are just at the price point where they're a little too expensive for the budget ballers to want to spend the money on, and I totally understand. But if you are looking to spend a lot of money, and the most we would ever recommend you go for is something like a 5070 Ti or a 9070 XT from AMD. With the 5070 Ti, we actually don't have any benchmark videos from the YouTube channel where we tested it, but we've seen many videos where pairing that GPU with something like the 7800X3D, awesome pairing. 1440p and even some 4K with some upscaling if you want to, but we think 1440p high refresh rate is the sweet spot. And the 9070 XT is a really awesome GPU as well that you can get, albeit it is a little bit slower than the 5070 Ti, and the 5070 Ti is definitely the best bang for buck, which is kind of weird to say from Nvidia, but this is the case that it actually is. Both of those cards are really good, as high as I would recommend you go options for getting the best bang for buck. And if you do get those GPUs, pair with a 7800X3D and 9800X3D, call it a day. You'll have a really awesome gaming experience with, well, probably one of the top of the line experiences you can get on the market.
And then of course we have the highest end sector like Matt and I have been talking about, which this video isn't really about, but like the RTX 5080, the RTX 5090, and I guess even kind of like the 7900 XTX because of how much they're still going for. People just see the VRAM as one of the biggest things of these cards and think, oh, it's really worth it. I should get a used 4090 even. And it's just not worth it for 99% of people out there, because to really utilize this stuff, you either need to be really into AI or you need to be making money doing these kind of things, or you're just rich. Because if you need all that VRAM, you should be using it for like really high-end tasks like 8K footage video editing, streaming and gaming, and you're already making a living doing it, so you're like, why not? I want the best of the best. Or you just are loaded and have buckets of money and you're like, I need the best of the best. Other than that though, don't buy them. You're not going to see the performance that you want for how much money you're going to spend.
And if you're that big baller watching this video, thank you for supporting, by the way. You probably already know what you want to buy. You want to buy the latest and greatest. But if you are a budget baller and you learned something from today's video, let us know in the comments down below. And once again, if you want to buy any of the graphics cards mentioned in today's video, link in the description down below are affiliate links. They will help us out. Let us know which one is your favorite GPU going towards the end of the year.
And as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you check out our other 2 YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/toastybros, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
See you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.
Yeah, buy a PC from PCBros.tech like Green Guy said from stream.
Come here, Green Guy. Come here. You gotta tell the people about PC
Jimbo.
Bros.
Can't wait for this to just be cut out.
We made him nervy.
I was just trying to joke with him. Well, he works at PC Bros. He's actually the social media guy. We actually have a whole YouTube channel where he tests even more stuff than we do sometimes. So make sure to check out PC Bros and buy a PC.
Use code Toasty Bros to save 3% on your next purchase. See you guys. Bye.